you gonna do when the feds come for you? Life and change, you won't be free. What you gonna be? Prison gangster stole your mind, body and soul. What you gonna do?
Hello and welcome everyone to Untold Crime Stories. I'm your host, Brian Perry. We are now associated with Street Crime Network, which is brought to you by Joy Road Entertainment. We will continue with a number of episodes about gangs, street gangs, prison gangs, and drug organizations. We will talk about gun violence, the drug world, and human trafficking. From time to time, we will host guests who have experience with the underworld of crime and gangs. We will also talk about solutions to gang violence and other crime problems. We will profile programs that have been successful with reducing crime and changing lives. You will learn about what goes on and how all too often the gang leaders from inside prisons control what goes on in our streets and communities. And we won't let our elected officials off the hook either. We will report on what they are doing and not doing to address the crime problem. Like I have told you before, I will tell you these stories based on my 50 years experience working gangs, extremists, intelligence collection, and counterintelligence. Those were the areas that I spent most of my time in. Every gang investigator, gang member, or former gang member experiences the crime issues through their own lens. So every story is a little bit different. So from prison yards to street corners, from gun violence to human trafficking, we will take an in-depth look into all of these problems. So stay with me for this next episode about an influential gang member who tried to walk away from his gang, but the gang wouldn't let him. So here is our latest episode. This is a story about the murder of a prison gang member who walked away from his gang. He wanted out of the gang. He wanted to live his life without any obligations to the gang. He had enough of the violence. He had enough of the prison politics, the egos, and the power struggles. This story is about Robert Brown Bob Viramontes. The gang is the Nuestra Familia. As many of you know, the Nuestra Familia, or NF, has been around since the 1960s. They are one of the most dangerous gangs in California and in the United States. It has been my experience that the NF is one of the most well-organized criminal enterprises in the country. They are very well organized. And its leaders have proven to be smart, cunning, and violent. Despite numerous local and federal investigations and prosecutions, the NF is still in business. They have been the target of several federal RICO investigations and prosecutions. And that's the racketeering, influenced, and corrupt organization. The NF, like the other California prison gangs, have gone through a number of leaderships and organizational changes. And also, like the other California prison gangs, the NF kill more of their own than their enemies. And this is the story of the NF killing one of their own. Brown Bob wanted to change, but the gang wouldn't let him. So let me set the stage for you. The victim, Robert Brown Bob Viramontes. Brown Bob was a veteran NF member with over 20 years of experience, 20 years of service, 20 years of putting work into the NF. He was well liked and respected, but tired of gang life, he wanted a change. He wanted out. The NF had once talked about giving veteran members an opportunity to retire after 20 years without any repercussions. Brown Bob wanted to take advantage of that plan, but that plan never fully materialized. So he decided to step away. He never turned on the gang. He never turned on the NF. He just wanted to be left alone, to live a normal life. He lived with his wife and kids in a middle-class neighborhood in Campbell, California, which is in the San Francisco Bay Area. Brown Bob covered the NF tattoo on his back. The gang didn't like that. He started to talk to teenagers about the evils of gang life. They didn't like that either. The NF leadership were not happy with Brown Bob. They didn't like what he was doing. One influential leader wanted Brown Bob killed, wanted him whacked, wanted him murdered. He said Brown Bob knew too much. He had to go. He had to die. Brown Bob refused to follow orders. He failed to provide financial assistance to the NF leadership locked away inside Pelican Bay SHU. At one time, wanted a peace treaty with the Mexican Mafia. Brown Bob had to die. He was only 44 years old. The decision was made. Now let's talk about the hit team. The hit team consisted of David Dreamer Escamilla. He was a Northern Structure member, wanting to be an NF member. Another one was Santos Bad Boy Bernius. He was an NF member. Both had long histories of violent behavior. The driver of the getaway car that day was Albert Beto Avila, who wanted to be an NF member. He wanted to be an NF member very much. So in April 1999, the trio were in a stolen SUV. Avila was the driver. He was the wheelman. Down the street, watching the hit, was Antonio Chuco Guillen. He was there to make sure the hit went down. He was an NF member. On the day of the hit, the stolen vehicle pulled in front of Brown Bob's driveway. Dreamer and Bad Boy walked up on Brown Bob, who was working on his front lawn. Brown Bob must have known this was it. He ran into his open garage when the shots rang out. Dreamer and Bad Boy opened fire and riddled his body with 7 bullets. Brown Bob was gunned down in his own garage. No such retirement plan. It was back to blood in, blood out. But after the shooting, this incident begins to sound like the gang that couldn't shoot straight. Mistakes were made. Beto Avila, the driver, was supposed to wipe down the stolen SUV, remove all possible prints, and then set the vehicle on fire, torch it. But he didn't. He torched it. He forgot to wipe it down for prints. To make matters worse, a short time after the murder, the hit team checked into a local hotel and were partying when Avila admitted to Dreamer that he forgot to wipe the vehicle down for prints. Big mistake for Beto Avila. A fatal mistake. Sometime later, Guillen and Bad Boy Bernius were arrested after a car chase and a short foot pursuit. It was also learned that Bad Boy Bernius had also made a major mistake. The NF had a strict policy that any gun used in a crime was supposed to be disposed of. That didn't happen. Bernius kept the 9mm. He liked it. That mistake and Beto's mistake would only add to the list of evidence used against them in court. Beto Avila and Dreamer Escamilla were still on the run when Dreamer got a call from Bad Boy Bernius, who was in the county jail. Beto Avila had to die. The hit had been called from the leadership in Pelican Bay SHU. Dreamer told Beto they were ordered to make a hit in San Jose. Dreamer was lying. Dreamer drafted a guy named Rudy Moreno, a young norteño, to assist him. The trio took off to make the so-called hit in San Jose. But the hit was not going to occur in San Jose. The hit was on Beto Avila. His time was up. After a short drive, Dreamer told Beto, who was driving, to pull over. Once out of the car, Beto was double tapped to the back of his head. A third shot to the chest finished him off. In time, both Dreamer and Night Owl were also arrested and later charged with Beto Avila's murder. Now, all 4 suspects in the Brown Bob murder were either dead or in custody. Let's talk about the prosecution. The Santa Clara DA's office had a husband and wife team that made a career of successfully prosecuting NF members and their associates. These prosecutors were tireless. Now they were at it again. They were highly skilled lawyers and dedicated prosecutors. They liked the grand jury system. So after 73 witnesses spoke in the grand jury, all 4 suspects were convicted. Dreamer Escamilla, Santos Bad Boy Bernias, Antonio Chuco Guillen, and Rudy Moreno were all convicted. Both Dreamer and Bad Boy got 50 to life. Chuco Guillen got 25 years, as did Night Owl Moreno. The NF leader who ordered Brown Bob's hit was later indicted in a federal case known as the Black Widow case. It was a RICO prosecution, and when it was over, several prominent NF leaders were convicted to federal prison. So what have we learned from this murder? Well, the Brown Bob Viramontes murder is a classic story of what goes on inside some of the California prison gangs. They kill their own. Here, a well-respected gang member wanted out, wanted to walk away. The gang said no. He knew too much. He had to die. That was pure paranoia. Paranoia, power struggles, greed, jealousy, all play a part in the California prison gangs and why they kill more of their own than their enemies. And more times than not, they kill these people for all the wrong reasons. So thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe if you're not a subscriber. If you liked it, click like, and I will see you the next time in a very short while. Thank you.